knee removed. He had autoimmune disease. He's got hardening of the arteries. He's got ED. He's got headaches. He's got shooting pain in his arm, high blood pressure, diabetes, autoimmune disease, on and on and on and on and on. And I asked him a question. And I said, has anyone ever discussed why you have all these problems? And he looked at me and his wife looked at me and they said, no. No one's ever asked why. And he's in his 80s. He goes, you're the first doctor in my life to ever ask me that question. So we're going to talk about issues that happen, but more importantly, why do they happen? And why do they happen to some people and not others? Now, there's genetics, there's lifestyle, there's trauma, of course. But all in all, they're going to give some general rules on what to do to see if we can turn back the clock there a little bit. So the big one, of course, is aches and pains. You know, we used to joke about, you know, we could play football and soccer and then go out and have a few beers and sleep for 8 hours. Now you roll over wrong, your neck can't move, right? So it's a very different world today than it was even 20, 30 years ago in most people's lives. But if you have pain, pain is telling you that there's something wrong. Something isn't right, and pain is saying, fix me. So we have one or two approaches at that point. One is cover up the pain, which I support 100%. If I have pain, I want to cover it up. But I also want to find out why. Why is my shoulder not moving? Why can't I bend my knee? Why is it that I have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain radiating down my leg? And if we can find out why, then we can get to the cause. And the traditional answer is, well, take some yoga, stretch, use hot packs, take aspirin, take acetaminophen, ibuprofen. Ibuprofen, by the way, fights inflammation. Acetaminophen blocks pain. That's the difference between the two. Both of them can cause liver damage in big doses. And if not, they say, well, talk to your doctor. How many of you have gone to your doctor? Think about this. Raise your hand. How many of you have gone to your doctor and said, I have a problem, and the doctor couldn't give you an answer as to why? Most of us have done that. I've done it. And they say, well, I don't know why you have it, but here's something we can cover up the issue with. And that's orthodox medicine. And it works in a lot of cases, but I want it to work better. So if you have pain, let's talk about that. Let's talk about pain. 10% of your nerves feel pain. 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. I'm going to say that again. 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. You can have a pinched nerve or an irritated nerve and not know it. So what does that look like? Well, you don't feel your blood pressure, your spleen, your kidneys, your thyroid, your prostate, your hair growth, your earwax, all controlled by nerves. So if we can look at the body and say, okay, is there a way to check nerves that don't feel pain? And the answer is a resounding yes. So we can check the nerves that feel pain and we can check the nerves that don't feel pain. Specifically, in this case, I'm talking about the spine. So when patients come in our office, that's what we do. The third concern I have, which happens to us old folks, is arthritis. If you have bones out of place, they will rub up against each other and they will start to wear out, and that's called osteoarthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease. Osteoarthritis is the bones rubbing up against each other. So if I have the tires on my car wobbling, what's the first thing I do? Realign the tires, right? I don't drive it. I may call a tow truck, bring it to the mechanic. Let's realign the tires. We do it right away. If your door is sticking, when you try to open and close your door, what do? You realign the door so it fits better. And yet we never seem to think about that when it comes to your body. So if a bone is out of place pinching a nerve, it can hurt, but usually only about 10% of the time. 90% of the time, you may not feel it. They always will wear out. If a bone is out of alignment, it will wear out. That is the only promise I can ever make you. That if bones are out of alignment, they wear out. So the logical step would be put the bones back in place. So if you have aches or pains, find yourself a good chiropractor. When I say good, there's some bad ones out there. There's some good ones out there. And get that checked. And any bone, 206 bones in the body, any one of them can come out of place, including your skull bones. Put the bones back in place. That should help take pressure off the nerves, and it should also slow down the arthritic process. So if you have pain, I want you to figure out why you have pain. Maybe it's a chemical reaction. I can't do caffeine. If I do any caffeine, even a little piece of chocolate, I get a headache. So that's not a bone out of place. That's a chemical reaction. So what I tell my patients to do is you can go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Under patient forms, you'll see something that says nutrition and something that'll say a diet diary. Print it up. I'll never know you were there. It's free. Print it up. Write down everything you eat. Everything. I don't care if it's a piece of gum, if it's a piece of candy, a lollipop. Write it down. Water, whatever you're drinking. And then note in the margin, I had a headache today. I had trouble breathing today. I had diarrhea today. And many times you can self-diagnose. You can look back and say, gosh, every time I ate chocolate, I got a headache. Every time I had Chinese food, I was tired because of monosodium glutamate. Every time I ate a cheese, I just want to take a nap because the saturated fats can clump your red blood cells together and prevent oxygen from carrying up to the body and into the brain. So look at what you're eating, look at your symptoms, and many times, not always, you can determine where the problem is. There, I just saved you a couple of trips to the doctor and a couple of gazillion dollars probably. So you can diagnose yourself on this one. And then you can do an experiment. Well, gosh, when I ate pizza, I got really tired and had really bad stomach pain. Didn't eat pizza, felt okay. I'm going to try eating pizza again. It happened again. Now you know. It's pretty simple. Now, we can do expensive tests on food allergies, and we do them in our office. And we can even send you the kit, by the way, if you want to. We'll send you the kit, and you can mail it back to the lab, and I'll go over it with you over the phone if you need to. And that's very good. But if it's a real obvious reaction, I eat peanuts and my throat swells up, well, I don't think you really need to spend the money on a test. Make sense? So aches and pains, we always want to find out why. Is it physical? Is it chemical? Maybe it's emotional. You may have learned as a child that if you faked a stomach ache, mommy took care of you. And you don't even realize you're doing it anymore. But you're in pain because you want attention. That's a whole nother lecture in itself. But we always want to try to get to the cause of the problem. So if you have an issue, I would love to be your doctor. I'd love to help you analyze it. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, we have offices in the Atlanta area, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. Just go to my website, drjoe.com, book an appointment. Love to see you. Normally, the first visit is $940. We've reduced that to $299. And the reason we do this is I want to find out what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. Is it chiropractic care? Is it orthopedic care? Is it physical therapy? Is it psychology? Is it gastroenterology? Is it nutrition? I don't know. But so many times we have pain, we go to a doctor gives us pills to cover up the pain, and that's the end of it. I want to dig deep and try to get to the cause of your problems and then direct you as to where the best place to go. So drjoe.com, we accept most insurances, car accidents, sports injuries, workers' comp. I want to do everything I can to help you get better. And we're talking today about aging, reversing aging. And, you'll reverse it. It was just kind of a catchphrase. But if you can put those bones back in place and the bones don't wear out as fast, you're going to really slow down the process. And most people, in fact, I've been in practice about 40 years now. And when I see people at 80s, 90s, 100s come in, they have a pattern. They eat a certain diet in most cases. Their structure is in better shape than everybody else their age. Okay, they don't have as much arthritis. They don't have as much misalignments. And so there's a pattern. They're usually skinny. So I can see the pattern. If you follow this pattern, you're more likely to have a long and healthy life. We do studies all the time with people that live the longest. It's called the Blue Zone studies. And the Blue Zones are where people live to be over 100, a large majority, not a majority, but a large percentage of the population lives to be over 100. And they've studied this many studies have been done on Blue Zone areas. And the one thing they all have in common is they eat mostly a plant-based diet. They're not all vegan. Some are, some aren't. But they eat what's called a Mediterranean diet. They eat mostly fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. They get a lot of exercise. They get outside. They get sunlight. They might have a little meat. They might have a little alcohol, might have a little sugar, but it's very, very little. I know I grew up in a big Italian family, and we always had lots of fruits and vegetables. There's always a plate of fruits on the table, always. Salad was part of every meal. You never had a meal without a salad. The salad was at the end of the meal. When I grew up and became an adult and went out to a restaurant, I remember the first time they brought my salad first. I thought, why are you bringing me my salad now? That's at the end of the dinner. I didn't know. I had no idea what happened in the real world. I grew up in a very big, enclosed Italian family, that you have salad in the beginning of the meal. Either way is fine, I guess, but the Italians oftentimes live very long lives. So structurally, that's not something you can take care of. You need to come see us or somebody who's qualified. Chemically, you have control over that. So we ate a lot of fruits and vegetables, a little bit of meat. The adults would have a little bit of homemade wine. Didn't have the sulfites and the chemicals and everything in it. A lot of garlic, but very little meat, very little dairy products. Maybe a little sprinkle of cheese on top of your pasta. but small amounts of pasta. We called it macaroni at the time. I never knew the word pasta until I was an adult. So we had macaroni with a little bit of sprinkled cheese on it, and we had a little tiny piece of meat, and the rest of it was mostly vegetables. So yeah, there's a formula to follow if your goal is to be healthy and live a long life. Also, as we get older, we start to get wrinkles. It happens. It's part of the aging process. But there are a lot of things you're doing that can make it worse. If you smoke, if you dehydrate yourself, if you eat a high-acid diet, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. Those are the things that are going to speed up the wrinkle in the aging process. Now, you can do things to help keep the wrinkles down. Moisturize. But this drives me crazy. I was at an event the other day, and one of the doctors has a health spa there, and he was handing out samples. Little samples of face cream, little samples of lip stuff. And I looked at all the ingredients in the stuff he was handing out, all natural. They had chemicals, parabens, phthalates, hormone-disrupting chemicals in them, endocrine-disrupting chemicals in them. I thought, what about castor oil? What about olive oil? I mean, really, those are great lubricants. And so that might be a better choice. Castor oil, it's been said sometimes, it's a facelift in a jar because it's an astringent. It tightens up the skin. But if you're eating a good diet, you're going to get your nutrients from the inside out, not necessarily from the outside in. Now, you can use moisturizers, absolutely. Hand creams, absolutely. My hands get dry. But I read the ingredients. And here's a simple rule. If you can't pronounce it, don't use it. Now, that doesn't hold 100% because you may not be able to pronounce methylcobalamin, which is vitamin B12, which is good. But generally speaking, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. And if you don't know what it is, look it up. Look up an ingredient and say, oh, well, what side effects of this? So, and there are hand moisturizers and face moisturizers that have very few ingredients, all easy to understand. Those are okay with me. And it's okay to do that. But a diet is going to be such a big player when it comes to wrinkles. And so you got to be careful of that. Plant-based diet going to be the best thing. The more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, you're going to get proanthocyanidins. You're going to get polyphenols. These are all nutrients in plants that help the skin stay fresh. The big question people ask me a lot is, what about collagen? Should I take a collagen supplement? My answer is probably not. And the reason is that collagen oftentimes is made from animal cartilage. They grind it up, make a powder out of it, and they give it to you. And it has some benefits, absolutely. But you run the risk of heavy metal toxicity because animals store heavy metals in their cartilage. We do. We're animals. And so what's going to happen is you can store it in your cartilage. You're going to eat it then. So if you're going to do a collagen supplement, I wish you wouldn't, but if you do, it has to be organic only. And still you're going to have heavy metals in the cartilage, but it would be a better choice. Another issue that happened, soap. Got to cover soap. I forgot to cover soap. Soap is so important because soap can be so drying. The soap I recommend is Castile soap. Castile soap is made with oil, olive oil usually, and a scent and a fragrance. Because if you ever study chemistry, likes dissolve likes. So if I have oil on my skin, I want to dissolve it, I can use an oil to dissolve it. So now with the Castile soap, I'm moisturizing my skin as opposed to drying it out with a detergent, which is what a lot of soaps are. So I'm using a natural lubricant, smells great, washes off so easily, and it's even edible. Now, don't eat it, okay? But if you're going to put something on your skin, you have to understand it's going to be absorbed. So my rule is if I can't eat it, I won't put it on my hair or my skin. Not saying I'm going to eat it and enjoy it, but it's not going to get me sick if I eat it. And that's why Castile soap would be an excellent choice. They have bar and they have liquid. I like the liquid, and it works great. So that's also very good for your skin, and it refreshes the skin. Another issue that happens as we get older is loss of muscle. Now, that's going to happen. Now, I've seen guys in their 50s and 60s and 70s, and a lot of them, if they're really bulky, I can't say all of them, but a lot of them are taking steroids. And that's not something I want you to do because it can shut down your immune system, and that's a whole nother story. But we are going to lose muscle mass as we get older. A, because our hormones are changing. B, we're exposed to endocrine-disrupting hormones. I did a show on that last week on endocrine-disrupting hormones and how that can alter your testosterone, estrogen levels. So you got to be careful about that. But it's also part of the aging process. And as the muscles get weaker, they don't support the bones as well. The bones move out of place, rub up against each other, can cause arthritis, which is what we talked about 15 minutes ago. And so you want to have good musculature. One of my big concerns, and this is my prediction, I'm going to say Dr. Joe was right on this one 2 years from now. If we're taking these medications to lose weight, the GLP-1 agonists, they work. They'll help you lose weight, absolutely. But about, depending on a study you read, 30, 40%, I saw 160%, I don't know if that was valid, of the weight you lose is muscle mass. So yeah, you're going to lose weight, but you're losing that muscle mass. And as you get older, it's really hard to gain back 30% muscle mass. And so I predict, and I may be wrong, but I predict that we're going to have a lot of structural issues, chiropractic issues, neurological issues coming up with these people that are taking these medications. Because if you're young and you lose the weight, you have a chance to build a muscle mass. As you get older, it's really hard. Even if you're skinny, trying to build muscle mass is tough. So that's just something I'm worried about. So that's why you got to keep the muscles in motion. And you may not have to lift heavy weights, but do housework, sweep, go out in the yard, dig a hole. I'll tell you a story. When I was probably about 15 years old, I played football, hockey. I was a 210-pound football player, long hair, beard. I was a real dirtbag. And I remember talking to my German grandfather one day, and I said, I'm going to go work out. They didn't have gyms at the time. You worked out in your garage or something like that. And he said, you want muscles? Here's a shovel. Go dig a hole. And I didn't get it at the time, but now I do. Those are practical muscles. How often do I bench press something in real life? Probably not very often. How often am I going to use those muscles, the multifidus and the rotatory muscles, the little tiny muscles in my spine? How often am I going to use them? Every single day. So that's why practical muscles is work muscles. And you may not have, the big rip that we're looking at, but you're going to be a lot healthier. And then you could also lift weights if you want to, in addition. So you want to build up muscles, but build up practical muscles. And please be careful if you're taking these medications. I'm worried. It's a Moody Blues song, and the line in the song is, and I'm frightened for your children. Well, I'm frightened for my adults at this point because we don't know what's going to happen with this 30% muscle mass. There's a lot of other issues, too. I'm going to do a whole show on it in the future. I've got all the information. I just got to find time to do it. But there are other alternatives to lose weight. In fact, if you go to my website, drjoe.com, just type in weight loss, and we did a really good show on what prevents weight loss and what you can do to fix it. Okay, so, and it's not a thing. It's a lifestyle. I just watched a video the other day, and it was a nutritionist. They were talking about ultra-processed foods. And ultra-processed foods, if you eat ultra-processed foods are foods that you couldn't make in your kitchen in most cases. I could make tomatoes. I can make a salad and even canned tomatoes. All right, I have tomatoes. They're processed minimally. But ultra-processed food might be, even a soy burger, okay, or candies. You don't have all those ingredients in your kitchen. And if you eat ultra-processed foods, the exact same calories, the exact same carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, macronutrients, you're going to eat on average 500 calories a day more than if you eat the exact same macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins of whole foods. 500 calories a day. It takes about 3,000 calories to gain a pound, and that's, don't quote me on that, that's up in the air, but let's say 3,000 calories. So that means about every week you're going to gain a pound by eating ultra-processed foods because you crave it. And one of the things is when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. And as we get older, another thing we have to look at is, are we getting enough nutrition? And the answer is, if you're not taking supplements, I'm going to say no. The minimum supplements I would recommend would be Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Those are 2 powders. I take a scoop of each, shake it up, some coconut milk, almond milk. I mixed mine with frozen berries today and a little bit of frozen banana. I add 10 drops of Dr. Joe's vitamin D3 and a B complex. So the minimum package, if you would, Super Green Essential Source, vitamin D3, and B complex. Now, there's also nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels. As we get older, our blood vessels become rigid. They're not as flexible to open and let blood flow through. And so if you have normal or high blood pressure, I recommend you take nitric oxide as well. I take 4 capsules a day. Now, if you have low blood pressure, send me an email through the website. I'll tell you the protocol on how to do it if you have low blood pressure. But nitric oxide, people love it. I love it. It gives me so much energy. It gives me clear thought. It helps my blood pressure, which I don't have blood pressure issues anyway. But it increases circulation to my heart, my lungs, my liver, my spleen, my prostate, my sex organs. For men and women, as we get older, our nitric oxide production drops. And you need nitric oxide to open up the blood vessels and increase circulation to your brain, your sex organs. And so I would say at least 2 or 3 times a day, we have patients come to our offices, Dr. Joe, I have ED. And I've tried the pills, they're not working. Tried the injections, had a friend of mine just tell me the other day, tried the injections, that didn't work. So why is it? Could be a pinched nerve in the low back, that's the nerve supply into the sex organs. Could be nitric oxide issues, could be clogged arteries. Could be B vitamin issues, could be other things too. But we try to check the nerve supply, open up the blood supply, clean out the arteries, get you on a good diet, and in most cases, we see results. There's even home therapies. I won't talk about that on the air. Home therapies you can do as well. So if you have ED, just go to my website, drjoe.com, type ED in the search bar, and it'll send you a quiz, and send a quiz to me. It comes right to me, and I'll give you some suggestions. I don't want to make this whole show about that. But that is an issue as we get older, is our sexual function isn't what it used to be. What can we do to restore it somewhat? Because it can also be a sign for men and women that there's a circulatory issue, a cardiovascular issue. It's not just, hey, things don't work like they used to. It could be actually a sign that something's wrong from a health standpoint. So you don't want to ignore it. So if you do have an issue, men and women, you can send me an email through the website, drjoe.com. Happy to answer it. In fact, if you have any health questions, go to my website, drjoe.com. Happy to answer your questions for you. Little bot pops up, says, hey, want to chat? You can do that. Contact us. All of them come to me. And I'm happy to answer your questions for you. If you're a podcast junkie, and a lot of you are, I want you to go to your podcast service and type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it. And we post at least 2 podcasts a week, many times more. So you can get Dr. Joe on demand anytime you want. If you go to my website and type, it'll say education, we have Dr. Joe shows, and they're all archived on the website as well. So you could listen there. But if you have any questions, drjoe.com, or type it in the search bar what you're looking for, and it'll bring up shows that we did on your specific topic. We have about 4,000 hours of content on the website. So, yeah, chances are we've covered what you're looking for. So if you're just tuning in, I am Dr. Joe Esposito. The website is drjoe.com, drjoe.com. We're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for you. And we have so many therapies because many times there's a therapy as we get older that you don't even know exists. I am constantly attending seminars, conferences, workshops, expos, trying to find out what's the latest and greatest, newest thing that I can better treat myself with. I know it's for you too, but I want it too. And I want to know what's the latest and greatest to keep me as young as possible. So there's acoustic wave therapy, breaks up scar tissue. If you've been told you need a joint replacement, or you have joint pain, shoulder, wrist, hand, maybe you've had injections, didn't work, let's try the acoustic wave therapy. Got to realign it, try the acoustic wave therapy. We have PRP. Shoulders and knees work really well with PRP, but PRP by itself, if you're older, probably isn't going to work that well because you don't have as many platelets. That's what it is, platelets. We take your platelets out of your blood and re-inject them. You add the acoustic wave therapy to it. Then you might add cold laser to it. That's when you start to see what I find exponentially better results. So if you have a health issue, go to my website, drjoe.com. You can book an appointment. We can get you set up. Normally, the first visit is $940. We've reduced that to $299. We accept most insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. Let's try to get to the cause of your issue and not just treat the symptoms. I know it's novel in healthcare, but it works. Folks, when we come back, we have a lot more to cover. Don't go anywhere. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, drjoe.com. Hang on. I'll be right back. All right. If you'll notice, we're doing the show standing up now, so you guys behind the scenes, I can talk to you. And so it gives me better breathing. It gives me standing, and it's exercise for me. John, questions?
What is the healthiest way to remove earwax?
Healthiest way to remove earwax, something as simple as chewing gum can help. Because when you chew, your jaw contracts, and that pushes the earwax forward. Now, if it's really impacted, now if you're going to chew gum, please don't chew gum with artificial sweetener. And I'm going to hate myself for saying this. If you're going to chew gum, I'd rather see you chew a gum with sugar than with artificial sweetener. Now, the problem with that is a lot of those gums have artificial dyes in it and chemicals. So there is gum sweetened with stevia, xylitol. You could try them. The flavor doesn't last very long. I'm not going to lie to you, but that would work. Hydrogen peroxide, something with a D. You can go to a drugstore and get a kit. Don't go in there with a Q-tip. It just pushes it in further. It's totally stupid. It doesn't work. So you can get an earwax kit and go to a drugstore and try that. And if you still can't get it, then you want to go see a doctor, and they can go in there and get it out for you. But don't try to dig it out yourself. What else?
How do I know if my cortisol levels are high?
Let's test it. We can do a simple saliva test just for cortisol, but there's another test we do. It's a little more expensive. It's called the Dutch test. And I love my Dutch test. It's a urine test. We take samples of your urine. You take samples of your urine different times throughout the day. And then we send it to the lab, and they run an analysis. And one of the things, the first thing they test is cortisol. But we test other things. We test testosterone, estrogen. There's 3 estrogens. Did you know that? You got to test all 3 of them. It's testosterone. It's a free testosterone, a bound testosterone. You can have enough testosterone, but if it's all bound up, you can't use it. And so the Dutch test is so much more diagnostic than a blood test for not only hormones, cortisol, but all hormones. And so I'd recommend that. If you need more information about it, you can go to my website, drjoe.com. It's under labs. I think it's under lab tests or office procedures. And if you still have questions, just send me an email. I'll send you the link to it. But that's what I would recommend. And you're not going to get just cortisol. You're going to get a lot of things. If the cortisol is too high, it's a problem. You know what else is a problem? It's too low. I had a patient the other day come in, and her cortisol was flat. And it's supposed to go up in the morning, down in the evening. Hers was flat. Her adrenal glands were just pooped out. They just weren't producing cortisol. And so we had to get her on an adrenal healing protocol, and then eventually it turned around and got better. So I say the other day, because when she came back in the second time, it was better. So what else you got, John?
Is homocysteine often a driver of high blood pressure?
Homocysteine is an amino acid that kind of irritates the artery walls and causes cholesterol to stick to the artery walls. So homocysteine indirectly can raise blood pressure because it can cause cholesterol buildup, which narrows the arteries, which can then raise the blood pressure. Homocysteine is bad. The way you break down homocysteine is B vitamins, specifically B6. So taking Dr. Joe's B complex, if you have high homocysteine, is probably a good idea. But you also want to find out why you have homocysteine high. And usually methionine and cysteine convert into homocysteine, and animal products are high in methionine and cysteine. So there's a lot of chemistry in that sentence I just gave you, but B complex is going to be a good way to bring it down. So, and you should get it tested. A lot of doctors don't test for it, and they absolutely should. It's a much better indication than just cholesterol floating around in your blood. What else?
Does freezing affect the nutrient value of berries and fruits?
Very little. Very, very little. So I'm perfectly fine with frozen fruits and vegetables. Clarence Birdseye came up with the concept years ago of flash freezing. Pick it fresh and freeze it, and the nutrients are locked in. And he was right. Even way back then, we still use a lot of the principles Clarence Birdseye came up with, and that's why Birdseye frozen food. That was him. So he found it, if you want to know, he was ice fishing one day, came back with some fish. It was frozen, and he put it in his cabin, and the fish thawed out and came alive again. And he said, oh, my gosh, so freezing doesn't kill the animal. It just suspended animation, and that was his thought for fruits and vegetables, too. So anyway, useless information. What else you got?
Are pheromones a real thing, including pheromones added to cologne?
Yes, they're a real thing. I don't know if they work in a cologne. I have no idea. I remember years ago when it first came out, I was in college, actually, and somebody gave me a bottle of it. I didn't see any difference. But no, pheromones are a real thing, yes. Absolutely.
What are the benefits of glutathione?
Glutathione, the overlooked redheaded stepchild of supplements. Glutathione is what we call the master antioxidant. Your body is constantly producing free radicals. Now, free radicals are like Pac-Man. They eat through things. And you produce them naturally. If you're eating a bad diet, cigarette smoke, artificial lighting, these things can all create free radicals. And so you need to neutralize them with antioxidants. So glutathione is the master antioxidant specifically for the liver, but it helps the entire body. And that's why I put a lot of my patients on glutathione to try to get their body back to what we call homeostasis or normalcy with the free radicals and the antioxidants. So I take glutathione every day. You should too. Relatively inexpensive and really powerful. So that's why I love glutathione. What else you got?
Do any foods increase testosterone?
Yes, but more importantly is what foods decrease testosterone. So we did a show last week, you probably listened to last week's show, on hormone-disrupting chemicals. Cash register receipts, BPA, BPS, BPF. These are linings and cans that act as a non-stick cookware. Plastics, putting plastics in a microwave. All these things are chemicals that can increase your estrogen levels and essentially decrease your testosterone. So what can build testosterone? Fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, of course, indirectly. On the website, we have Dr. Joe's men's hormone support or women's hormone support. I'd love those. We also have something called estrogen regulator. Estrogen regulator prevents testosterone from converting into estrogen. So once again, it's not so much how much testosterone you have, is it free or bound, and is it converting into estrogen? Those are other things you have to look at. That's why I like the Dutch test. So I take estrogen regulator every day. I recommend it for women of childbearing years and men. If you're perimenopausal or menopausal, do not take estrogen regulator. It's not for you. You need more estrogen if you're perimenopause or menopause. But if you're not, if you're childbearing years, you can usually bring down the estrogen levels. So that's why I like it. And it's called an aromatase inhibitor. It's diindole methane, which is an aromatase inhibitor, and it just prevents aromatase from converting testosterone into estrogen. But a plant-based diet is going to increase your testosterone levels the best. And then exercise is going to help too. And then, of course, the minimum supplements, Super Greens, an essential source, vitamin D and B complex. So, yeah, there's ways you can do it. So go to my website, drjoe.com, type in men's health issues, and we cover it there.
That is all.
All right, good. Another sip of tea. Ready for round two. Now, where was I? Okay, got it. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. We're talking today about reverse aging. Now, that's the title of the show, but we kind of, it's tongue-in-cheek. You really can't reverse aging, but you can certainly slow it down and repair a lot of the damage that occurred. And that's what's nice, is most people think I'm about 15 years younger than I am, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So other things that happen as we get older, one of them is sleep issues. Now, I've done a few shows on sleep. If you go to my website, drjoe.com, type sleep in the search bar, we've done a couple of shows on that. But your ability to sleep as you get older might have a harder time falling asleep, might have a harder time staying asleep. One of the big issues, though, is peeing. As you get older, you got to get up and pee. So for men, the prostate swells. And for women, just the muscles become weaker. And so a couple of things. We have something called a cold laser we have in our office. And we can cold laser the prostate to help bring down the swelling. I'm not saying I treat prostate swelling, but the cold laser is designed to stimulate the mitochondria in the cell, which can help bring down the swelling. And so cold laser works very well. I use it on a regular basis because I'm getting old too. My secret is I stop drinking a lot of fluids around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, for dinner, I might have a sip or two. But I don't eat a lot of juicy foods, soups, watermelons for dinner because I know it's going to wake me up and I'm going to have to pee. You want to check the nerve supply in the low back because that's the nerve supply to the bladder. And we've had countless patients, men and women, that they have a pinched nerve in the low back and it's affecting bladder function. And so by fixing that, they sleep better. Coffee and alcohol, of course, are diuretics. You want to be careful with those. Staying healthy is really going to be the best thing you can do to sleep better. High blood pressure. And we've done an amazing show on high blood pressure not long ago. Just go to drjoe.com and type in blood pressure in the search bar. Did a great show on that. And another one, probably the classic of them all, is heartburn, acid reflux, GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. First of all, it's not a disease. It's like measles and mumps. They're not diseases. They're infections. A disease is something that comes and usually doesn't go away. So gastroesophageal reflux disease really isn't a disease. It's a condition, but we're splitting hairs here. If the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, you might have heartburn, acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. The same nerve that controls the digestive system has a major impact on the heart called the vagus nerve, and I've had countless patients with digestive problems affecting the vagus nerve, raising their blood pressure. And when we fix their stomach, we can physically pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. In many cases, the blood pressure starts to normalize. It's not the only cause, it's a cause. But here's the thing. We talked about physically what goes on. The stomach is pushed up against my diaphragm. My diaphragm has to drop down so I can breathe. And I exhale, my diaphragm pushes up. So the diaphragm has to have lots of wiggle room. If my stomach is pushed up against my diaphragm, the diaphragm can't go down as well as it should. Now, if I'm standing up, I have gravity helping me, and that's cool. Gravity's going to assist it, and I'm good. But when I lay down, I take out the gravity component, so I can't assist my diaphragm going down. Stomach is pushing up against my diaphragm. I can't breathe. I can breathe. I may not breathe as well as I can. So one of the things you might see is sleep apnea, or people gasping for air. And I've been doing this for 40 years. When you pull that stomach away from the diaphragm, we check the fourth cervical nerve, because the fourth cervical nerve is the phrenic nerve, which controls the diaphragm. And now suddenly the brain is talking to the diaphragm, the physical blockage is gone, and now many times people go back to sleep. There's another benefit of doing this too, while I got you. is your stomach digests proteins, and the stomach digests proteins into amino acids. It kind of breaks it down to amino acids. The amino acid named tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain. Serotonin becomes melatonin, which helps you sleep. So by fixing the stomach, there's multiple reasons, neurological, structurally, chemically, why fixing the stomach many times is the key to a good night's sleep. And as you get older, muscles get weaker. And so as the muscle get weaker, it doesn't stay where it's supposed to. I'm happy I made it this far, but there are joys and fun things that happen as you get older. But again, we have ways to work with them. Is it going to solve everybody's problem? Probably not. Is it going to solve a major majority of them? Yeah. And still, it's the most effective, least expensive treatment for things like pain. We talked about that earlier. Chiropractic care, most effective, least expensive treatment for pain in most cases. So why wouldn't you do the most effective, least expensive protocol? And in our office, we check the spine and nervous system. We check all the joints from head to toe. We can check all the joints and adjust them if we need to. We have the acoustic wave to break up scar tissue if we need to. We have cold laser to stimulate mitochondria. We use the cold laser a lot. And then we work on the digestive system. Pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. Let's do a nutrition workup. Every patient that walks in the door, if they want me to, gets a nutrition workup. And if they're a patient, it's absolutely free. It's part of your treatment plan. And I'll say, hey, listen, this is what I think you should eat. This is what I think you shouldn't eat. Here's some supplements. Whatever you decide to do is up to you. I don't, annoy you. You didn't do it, did you? Ha ha. No. I give you the information. What you do, it is up to you. It's one of the many benefits of getting older is you stop caring so much. And I know that's horrible to say, but I can't make you change. I can give you the information. If you want to do it, great. If you don't, there's other patients that want to do it. And we know it works in most cases because patients keep coming back. I've had some patients come see me. I think my oldest patient, 38 years. She's still my patient. It's pretty cool. Her husband is 37 years. It took him a year to get in here. So Claudia's been with me 38 years. She's referred countless patients over the years. And so we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be getting the success rate that we have if it didn't work. In most cases, I can't guarantee it. So if you have a health issue, just come see us. Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, brain function. Had a patient the other day starting to get dementia. I looked at his diet. It was horrible. He's got clogged arteries everywhere. No wonder he's losing his memory. I don't think it's Alzheimer's, but it's some form of dementia. Why not fix that? That's the beauty of this. There are proactive steps you can take. You don't have to, send up your white flag and go, I surrender, I give up. And I can't tell you how many patients over the years have had brain issues, sleep issues, digestive issues, pain issues, and we're talking about older people here today, but even young ones. And they'll come in crying, Dr. Joe, you guys saved my life. Dr. Joe, I've spent so much money and so many different doctors, and nobody got to the cause of the problem. Now, I'm not saying all the other doctors were wrong. I'm just saying they didn't know the protocols that we know. And if I need surgery, I go to a surgeon. If I need dentistry, I go to a dentist. But if you want overall health, I'd like to be the doctor to help you work with you, to help you get there. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. In the Atlanta area, we have 4 offices. And if we don't have an office near you, let me know. I'll try to find you a doctor in that area. And not just chiropractic, orthopedists, neurologists, neurosurgeons, gynecology, therapists, whatever you need, let me help direct you to doctors that I trust. Because unfortunately, healthcare is out of control. And there are a lot of doctors out there that are scammers, a lot of doctors that are dishonest. I want to help get you to the doctors that I would go to if I had a problem. Now, I don't always know everyone. Sometimes I'll say, hey, I can't help you in this case. But I want to be the starting point. So drjoe.com and book yourself an appointment. Stop suffering needlessly. I saw a great quote the other day, and it said, you can have 100,000 problems in life. And when a major health crisis pops up, you have one. And that problem is that major health crisis. The finances, the relationship, the work issues, all those go away. Because that health issue becomes your primary concern. So if you have a health issue, let's fix that so that you can deal with those other problems. I would love for you to have 100 problems and 0 health issues. That would be my goal. Instead of 1 health issue and no other problems, because those other problems just become meaningless. So life becomes very stressful when you have health issues. Let's try to get to the cause. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. If you have a question, send it to me through the website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Happy to answer your questions for you. Website's there 24 hours a day. If you like what you're hearing, we do 2 podcasts a week. Just go to your podcast service, type in Dr. Joe for the health of it, Dr. Joe for the health of it, and you'll get those podcasts all archived. You can listen as many as you want. I love when people come in and say, Dr. Joe, I've listened to 200 of your podcasts, 300 of your podcasts. I said, really? Yeah. So it's kind of cool. So drjoe.com is the website. Dr. Joe for the health of it is the podcast. Social media. Follow me on social media. If you like what you're hearing, and I'm assuming you do or else you wouldn't be here, we post every single day. You're going to get a health tip every single day for free. Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. We're everywhere. And we have a lot of followers. And there's a reason why we have a lot of followers. Give you good advice. So we're talking today, if you're just tuning in, about issues that happen as we get older and what to do about them. Not just realize they happen. I can give you a list of problems that happen. And in fact, I bet you can give me a list of problems that happen as you get older. Gosh, I didn't have this foot pain, my knee pain, my headaches, my urinary leakage, my bowel issues, my loss of memory, my sleep issues. I didn't have those when I was younger. You can give me the list. But then I ask the question, what are you going to do about it? It's like a tough guy from New Jersey. What are you going to do about it, huh? You want to do something about this? You want a piece of this? Yes, I want you to have a piece of all of this so that you can get well and stay well. I used to talk like that, by the way. I'm from New Jersey. That's my real voice. This is a made-up voice. So another issue we talked about is memory glitches. And the brain does change as you get older. It physically changes. And as it physically changes, neurologically it changes. And, a couple of things that I've always done, not since I was older, I love sticky notes. Everywhere, my car, my house, my bedroom, my office, and people who know me know that they'll look at my car and say, oh, that's Dr. Joe's car. He's got sticky notes all over the dashboard. I love my sticky notes to remind me. And one of the reasons is if I have a thought, I want to write it down so that I can move on to my next thought. Something better is going to come along or something different is going to come along. I write it down, and I get this weird thrill about rolling up and throwing away my sticky notes when I complete a task. So that's something you can do, which is great. But nutrition is the key to healthy brain function. Now, if I have a bone in my neck out of place, I may be pinching what's called the basovertebral artery, which is the blood supply to my brain, and I want to fix that. And so structurally, there's a key, but you got to make sure your brain is getting oxygen, stimulation, and nutrition. Those are the three things your brain needs to function: oxygen, stimulation, and nutrition. So oxygen could be your stomach up against your diaphragm. You're not breathing properly. You're not standing up straight. You're sitting all day. You're hunched over. You sit at a desk all day. You sit on a couch all day. That can affect oxygen to the brain. Stimulation is what you're doing right now. You're listening to something and learning something you never knew before. And that's what the brain wants. The brain wants new stuff, baby. Get me excited. Give me information. Give me stimulation. And then nutrition is your diet and your supplements. And then also your environment as well. I'll put that under nutrition too. So the minimum supplements I would recommend, I've said this before, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, vitamin D3 with K2, and B vitamins. If you could add nitric oxide to that, I would add nitric oxide to it, because nitric oxide opens up the blood supply to my brain. And people ask me a lot. I get questions all day, every day. When you're doing a live event and people just throwing questions at you, you know those questions, right? I had a guy on radio one time say that to me. Listen to my show. He says, your shows are amazing. He says, so how do you get that many questions ahead of time and do the research on them? I said, I can do that? I can plant questions on the show? I didn't know that. I had no idea. It's a fellow out of Washington State. And he said, everyone does that. I said, I don't. I didn't know I could. And so I like having my brain work the best it possibly can. So I may not be the handsomest guy in the world. I might not be the strongest guy in the world, but I like being one of the smartest guys in the room. And part of that is I keep my brain working. So Super Green, Essential Source, Nitric Oxide, B Complex, vitamin D with K2, and a good diet. If you don't know what to eat, go to my website, drjoe.com, and type in 7 Deadly Sins of Nutrition. That'll tell you what not to eat. And again, you don't have to do all of it. The rule we have is the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, do everything I say. The 20% of the time is a little leeway. I'll give you a little flexibility. I would love to have a 95-5% rule, but I'm going to give you 80-20 to start. 80% of what I say, do. So 7 Deadly Sins of Nutrition will tell you what not to eat, and then type in, so what can I eat? You can do it either way. So what can I eat? It'll give you an idea of a day in a life. What's it really like to eat a healthy diet? It is so much better than anything you're doing right now. You'll have so much more energy. You'll sleep better. Your love life improves. Your brain works better. You'll probably lose weight, probably slow down the aging process, and you'll save a ton of money. My gosh, you're going to save so much money eating healthy. It is so much cheaper. I was out the other day and with some friends, and they said, let's go to Publix and get some subs. Now, Publix is a grocery store. I don't know if they have them where you are. And they have this amazing sandwich section. And you can go in there and get a sandwich. You can go to places like Atlanta Bread and get a sandwich, and you can get a veggie sandwich as opposed to a meat sandwich. It's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper. You're going to feel a whole lot better. Now, is it ideal? No, it's not. It's on bread. I get that. But this is real life. So you walk into Atlanta Bread and say, I want a veggie sandwich, no cheese. Okay. No mayonnaise. Okay. They make it. They're happy. If they don't have to charge you for the cheese, they're going to charge you the same amount of money, and they're going to save money. Everybody wins. Nobody loses. You could do Chinese food. You could do Indian food. You could do Thai food. So much less expensive than the standard American diet. I like it because it has better flavor, too. And so why wouldn't you do these things? 80% of the time. 20% of the time, I'll give you some leeway. So 7 Deadly Sins of Nutrition, So What Can I Eat on the website, and let's see what happens. My goal is, I tell people this when patients come to see me. Do what I say for 60 days. Get your chiropractic care. Let's fix your stomach. Let's work on your diet. Let's get you on supplements. Give me 60 days. If I'm wrong, so what? I'm wrong. Very low risk, very high reward. That's a good bet. If I can go to Vegas and get extremely low risk and extremely high return on investment, yeah, I want that all day, every day. And yet you can gamble with your health by not doing it, or you can do the right thing. But I so many patients. I have one of my coworkers at the radio station. He came to me. He came in as a patient, got him on a diet, got him on supplements, and one of his issues was, as he was getting older, he wasn't having the same romantic performance that he used to. And we checked his low back, adjusted his low back. I got him on nitric oxide. I got him on a good diet. And I said, do everything I say. I won't say his name because you might know who he is. I said, do everything I say. And so about, 6 or 8 weeks later, I ran into him at this station, and he sees one of my other doctors. And he says, man, I feel great. He grabs my arm. He says, and my wife says thanks. And he smiled and walked away. So I'm sure he was making a man joke, But his wife was also, I'm sure, thanking me because he was a healthier person. They had a better relationship. It wasn't just about, hey, things are good in a sack. It was about my whole life is better. And you'll be around a lot longer and probably save a whole lot of money on medical bills. So you're going to save money, probably live longer, probably have a better love life, probably everything. Everything I'm going to say is probably. Live longer, go to the bathroom better, sleep better, better love life, lose weight, have more energy, slow down the aging process, save money on medical bills. Why wouldn't you do this? And if it doesn't work, very low risk, very high reward. So drjoe.com, just make an appointment to come see us. Stop suffering needlessly. I've had so many patients over the years. Had one the other day send me this big fruit basket. And it had a guy's name on it. I called him up. I said, what's this for? He said, I suffered with back pain since I was in high school. They've talked about surgery. I've done injections, ablations. Nothing was working. He said, 2 weeks of coming to see you guys, I woke up one morning and I didn't have pain. And I didn't know what it was like. He says, I wasn't sure. He says, I'm rolling over and I'm not in pain. He says, I just want to say thank you. And he pays his bill. I mean, he paid his bill. We gave him service. It was done. But he went that extra step to say thank you. I would love for you to be in that situation. So drjoe.com, book your appointments. Normally the first visit is $940. We've reduced that to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on your follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. And we do this to determine what we feel is going to be the best course of treatment for you. So we make it very affordable. And what's going to be the best for you? Is it chiropractic? Is it nutrition? Is it orthopedist, neurologist, neurosurgeon, physical therapy, gastroenterologist? I don't know. Let's find out. Major majority of patients, it's chiropractic and work with us. Sometimes it's not. But I don't want you to spend a lot of money because I know you've done it before. You spent a lot of money and got no results. Let's spend a little bit of money and get great results. I like that business model. drjoe.com. And the supplements we talked about, Super Green, Central Source, Nitric Oxide, B-Complex, that's a starter kit. Vitamin D, nitric oxide if you can. estrogen regulator, omega-3 fatty acids for brain function. I don't know if I'm going to have time to cover that, but seniors especially, you got to take your omega-3 fatty acids. Not fish oil, not krill oil. Algae oil is the purest form. That's the one I take every day. Men's hormone support. We even have formula, Dr. Joe's intestinal formula, help your bowels work more efficiently. So go to the website, look at all the supplements. If you have questions, send me a question through the website, drjoe.com. Happy to answer for you. Make your appointments right there. It's very easy. We'll get you in as soon as possible. Follow me on social media, Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. And we post every day. You're going to get so much information. If you don't like it, unfollow me. It's free. Don't like it, unfollow me. But I want to give you all the information. Podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Just go to Dr. Joe for the Health of It on your podcast service, and you could listen to Dr. Joe on demand. And on my website, we have all the shows as well. You can listen to Dr. Joe on demand there as well. It's under radio shows. So I don't know how else to make it easier for you. Aside from coming to your house, which I'm not going to do, we've covered a lot. I probably get that request about once or twice a week. Can you come to my house? My mother's very sick. My father's very sick. I can't do that, folks. In the old days, I could. Times are different now. But we're wheelchair accessible at our offices. It's very easy to become a patient with us. drjoe.com. We'd love to see you. So we talked a little bit about peeing a lot. Again, just try to cut back on the fluids that you take in. You can do things like Kegel exercises. Means you pee, you stop, you pee, you stop. That can build up the muscles in the pelvic floor. Those are the muscles around your pelvis. And that can help. And pinched nerves in the low back. Please always consider a pinched nerve, whatever the condition is. Would unpinching this nerve make the condition better? The answer is almost always yes. So that's why it's more than just back pain and neck pain. That's old school chiropractic. If you've been to chiropractors before, great. People come to us all the time, been to chiropractors, orthopedists, neurologists, and they say, I've never in my entire life had an evaluation like you guys just gave me. It's never been explained to me like that before. And I've never seen the results in many cases that I get with you guys. Not saying we're better than anybody else. But I am saying that if I need health care, I come to my offices. My doctors and my doctors in my offices are also my doctors in healthcare. They're handpicked by me, they're trained by me, and they're my personal doctors. I've had a lot of doctors over the years want to come work with us, and they last a day or two. And I say, no, you don't have it. I kind of know if they have it or they don't. It's an art. There's science. I get that. But there's also an art to being a doctor. And that art, I'm not sure you can teach. That's something you have to have in your heart to really want to get people well. Other issues that happen as we get older is just being in a rut. I see this with some friends of mine, and they're retired and they sit around and they scroll on their phone and they'll watch TV. But then my other friends, some of them are retired, are out doing yoga and they're out hiking and they're out still working. And a lot of my friends, even in their 80s, say, listen, I don't have to work. I want to work. Because if you get in a rut, that can really be depressing. And then it kind of falls into the same line of being lonely. I read an article that said that being lonely is like smoking 15 cigarettes a day when it comes to your health. Now, I don't know what they base that on. But you retire. Maybe your spouse has passed away. Maybe your spouse has left you. We got a very high, divorce rate, a 55% divorce rate now. Your kids have grown up. They're out of the house. You spent your entire life, wiping bottoms and noses. And now all of a sudden, I got no bottoms and noses to wipe. What am I going to do with my time? So being lonely is a really serious issue. Volunteer for a charity if you have to. Go get a job. Make some money. Take the money. Give it to your kids. You don't have to necessarily volunteer. You could work a little bit, take that little bit of money and say, I'm going to do something with this. Socializing. And you can have, in social media, we have between 500,000 and 1 million followers. They're not my friends. They're my followers. My friends are the people I can call up and say, hey, listen, man, I need to, move something in my garage. What was the old joke? A friend will do something, and then a true friend will help you bury the body or something. Anyway, I don't remember the joke. But anyway, so those are true friends. Hey, listen, I got a real crisis. I need some help. And they'll come over and help, or you go over there and help them. So you may not have those friends anymore because you built your life around your spouse, your kids, whatever it was, your church, and things have changed. Go to church. Even if you're not religious, go to church and just do it for the social aspects if you have to. But get out and meet people. If you like hiking, go for hikes. My mother, God, she was an amazing woman. She would talk to people in a grocery store. And as a kid, I thought that was so weird. Why is Mom talking to that lady about broccoli? And now I know why. It was her way of engaging people. And everyone loved my mother. I don't think there was a person in the world who didn't like my mother. But just interacting with people is so important. And the main thing you can do, of course, is keep your health. Stay on top of your health. Get your nervous system work, your digestive system work, your diet straightened out. Come see us. Let's put together a healthcare plan. I really want to be your doctor. Remember, you can have 1,000 problems in life. When you get one major health problem, you have no other problems in life. You have one. Let's fix that health issue, if we can. So drjoe.com. Supplements, I don't think supplements are a luxury. I think they're a necessity. I eat a really good diet, and I take supplements every day. And I think you should too. Super Green Essential Source. They're all on the website, drjoe.com. Send me a question through the website. Follow me on social media. Podcast, Dr. Joe for the health of it. Let's do everything we can to educate you to naturally get you well and keep you well. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll catch you next time. Half my notes. I made it halfway through. You have questions, Jonathan? Is it Jonathan? Is that your real name? I don't know. Just John, okay. He looked at me like, just John.
Should I take up hiking or karate for my health?
Hiking. Get hurt doing hiking. You get hurt hiking too. But hiking is going to be the best thing because you're outside, you're absorbing negative ions from the air, you're getting sunlight. So if I had to pick one, I'd say hiking. I love hiking. What else?
Should I eat more mangoes or bananas?
Mangoes. How's that for a quick answer? Eat them both.
What are your favorite restaurants?
Favorite restaurant? Gosh, if I had to pick one. It's an Ethiopian place on Cheshire Bridge. It's down in Claremont, I think it is. It's called Bahel, B-A-H-E-L. That's, if I had to pick one, probably there. Sunflower Cafe is great for a little higher-end stuff. R. Thomas Grill, funky. If you want a funky place, R. Thomas Grill. Thai House in Roswell has the best Thai food of anywhere in the world. Probably better than Thailand. So those are probably my 4 go-to restaurants if I had to. Salada is great if I want something quick and easy like a salad. Even Ruby Tuesday has a salad bar, so I like that. I like Mexican food. I don't have a favorite Mexican restaurant, but I like Mexican food. I like cultural food. I don't like the typical steaks and stuff. Every time I go out to dinner with like doctor meetings and lawyer meetings, it's always like, let's go to a steakhouse. Why? It's expensive. I'm not full when I'm done anyway. I guess I don't eat meat, so I don't know. Let's go out to some place that has flavor and fun. So those are my top choices. What else you got?
Is grilling vegetables okay?
Grilling vegetables is okay because what happens is when you have meat, those high-protein, high-fat foods that get in contact with the heat, it creates something called heterocyclic amines. The vegetables don't have that high-protein content and fat content, so you're not going to create the heterocyclic amines, which are carcinogenic. So grilled vegetables, okay.
That is all.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Please follow me on social media. Please do that. If you're not doing it, that's your homework. All of them. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. Did I miss any? Okay. That's everything? All right.